Tyrants of Naggaroth. Dreadlords and Masters are the so-called noble-born rulers of Naggaroth. They range from sycophantic schemers to masterful strategists who have waged war across 100 battlefields. Though all such nobles pursue their own unique enthusiasms and ambitions, they are without exception selfish individuals, possessed of an arrogance matched only by their martial prowess, honed over centuries of unceasing war. Dark Elf commanders seldom lead through personal example, preferring to rely on bloodshed and intimidation. In Naggaroth, respect counts for nothing, unless it is backed by fear. Amongst the lower-born Dark Elves, it is thought better to die at the hands of an enemy than to face the wrath of a disappointed Dark Elf lord. The enemy, at least, will grant a swift death and have little prospect of making your family pay a bloody price for the failure of their kin. Dark Elves are sustained by the misery they inflict upon others, and noble-born offspring have no special protection. Those that manage to survive to adulthood are sent on a year-long raiding expedition. Dark Elves abhor weakness of any sort, so those youths that fail to make their mark during this time do not endure long thereafter. Some are slain by ambitious rivals, others are murdered by their own families, who can neither tolerate nor risk a weakling's presence. Should the stripling acquit himself well during this rite of passage, he begins his ascent through Naggarothi society. However, this is a ladder with very greasy rungs, and more nobles perish in the climb than ever reach the heady heights of becoming a Dreadlord. To alleviate the understandable paranoia engendered by the Dark Elves' treacherous society, a rigid code of etiquette has evolved. The lower-born classes may not approach within 3 sword lengths of a noble without being summoned. A retainer may stand as close as 2 sword lengths, whilst a trusted retainer, such as a bodyguard, may stand just outside a single sword's length. The closest, most intimate space is reserved for lovers, playthings, and mortal foes, the latter being far more trustworthy within reach than not. Many Dreadlords owe their positions of power to their bloodlines, daring exploits, or the Witch King's mercurial favours. Others are granted temporary power by means of a writ of iron, an edict granted by one of the 6 rulers of the great cities of Naggaroth. He who bears a writ of iron shares their sponsor's authority, a powerful tool for the ambitious. However, should a Dark Elf fail in his appointed task, or show cowardice whilst acting in his sponsor's name, the writ is melted down, and the molten remains poured down his throat. Such is the price of failure in Naggaroth. When it comes to Malekith, however, it is often pointless to look through past acts of weakness or sins of treason. If the Witch King wants to find them, he will, no matter how blameless a life a master or dreadlord leads. In truth, the Naggarothi system is set up so that no one can lead an entirely blameless life. If you did not criticize the king, you criticized his enemies in the cult of Cain, only to discover a decade later that those enemies were now trusted allies once more, and your criticism of them could be construed as treason. It is better to keep your mouth shut and say nothing at all, but what Druki can do that? There are so many parties, so many public festivals at which drunkenness is not only expected, but practically mandatory, as was narcotic indulgence. And after all, if you were sober, what was it you were trying to hide? And once you were drunk, tongues always wag. In private gatherings, with friends, under the warming influence of the black grape, people can suddenly feel compelled to speak things better left unsaid, and ears are always listening. No matter how small the group, how trusted the friends, there is always someone who sees some way of gaining an advantage from an indiscretion.